Hi guys, this is CA Balakrishna from lecturepedia.in. In this class, we will be revising dividends chapter at CMA final level, and this class will be exclusively for new syllabus. That is the syllabus that is applicable from June 2023 and onward attempts. Okay, and for CMA students, we have created a separate YouTube channel by name CMA Law with CA Balakrishna. You please subscribe to that channel for future videos related to CMA Law. Okay, and in this class we will start with the dividends. Now if you see, shareholders will invest in the company expecting some return, and this return can be of two types. One is capital appreciation. Capital appreciation means increase in the value of share, and the other one is dividend. Now the dividend means distribution of profit that has been earned by the company in the form of dividend. Now this chapter number 8 of Companies Act deals with this dividends, and dividend includes interim dividend also. We have two concepts, final dividend and interim dividend. Now the term dividend includes both final dividend as well as interim dividend. This chapter will be applicable for both interim as well as final dividend. And also companies will declare dividend in the form of percentage. They will say that for this year we are declaring a dividend of 10%, 20%, like this. In the form of percentages, dividends will be declared. Now the question that arises is, on which value we have to apply this percentage. Let's say Reliance says that we are declaring a dividend of 10%. Now 10% on what? 10% on face value of the share. If the face value of the share is 10 rupees, then the dividend will be 1 rupee. Okay, 10 rupees multiplied by 10%. So here you have to remember that this dividend percentage is calculated on face value, not on the profit amount. Hope this is clear. Now, how this dividend will be declared? Generally, if you see, let's say company has earned the profit for the current year, and board of directors feels that this year we are having huge amounts of profit. Let us give some dividend to the shareholders. So what they will do is, board of directors in the board meeting, they will recommend the dividend. See, you should observe my terminology. Board of directors will recommend the dividend. They will not declare. Once the board of directors recommend the dividend, that recommended dividend will be approved by shareholders in the general meeting. That is, shareholders will declare the dividend which has been recommended by board of directors. Hope this is clear. Now let's say board of directors have recommended a dividend of 10 rupees and shareholders have approved that dividend. Thereby shareholders declared a dividend of 10 rupees. That is the first case. Now coming to the second case, board of directors recommended a dividend of 10 rupees and shareholders in the general meeting, they feels that 10 rupees is a somewhat huge amount. So let us not give 10 rupees as a dividend. Let us give only 5 rupees. Okay. Board of directors recommended 10 rupees. Shareholders approved only 5 rupees. Whether this can be done or not? The answer is yes. Shareholders can reduce the amount of dividend that has been recommended by board of directors. Okay. Coming to the third case. Board of directors recommended a dividend of 10 rupees and shareholders in the general meeting, they feel that the amount of dividend that the board of directors are offering is very less. They are expecting somewhat more dividend. So shareholders in the general meeting, they declared a dividend of 15 rupees. Board of directors recommended 10 rupees. Shareholders increased this recommended dividend. That is, shareholders have declared a dividend more than that has been recommended by the board of directors. Whether this is possible? The answer is no. Shareholders cannot increase the amount of dividend that has been recommended by the board of directors, but shareholders can decrease the amount of dividend that has been recommended by board of directors. Okay. Next, now see, if company has to pay dividend means company has to have profit, company should have made profit, only then the company can pay the dividend. Now there are three sources from which dividend can be paid. First one is obviously, if in the current financial year, if the company has earned profit, from that profit company will pay the dividend. That is the first source. Second source, let's say in the current financial year company has not earned profit, company has made loss. Whether in this situation of loss can a company give dividend? The answer is yes, provided it is having sufficient reserves and surplus. Hope this is clear. Even though the company has made loss in the current year, it can pay the dividend from the reserves and surplus balance. So the second source is reserves and surplus balance. Third source, now either central government or state government, they will be giving some grants to the companies, and these grants will be specifically for dividend. In order to encourage certain companies, what the central government or state government will do is they will give certain amount as a grant to the companies, so that the companies will have to give that grant amount as a dividend to the shareholders. This grant is exclusively for offering the dividend. These are the three sources from which dividend can be declared. Now before paying the dividend from these amounts, you have to always reduce depreciation. In case there is any brought forward depreciation or there is any current year depreciation, that depreciation has to be reduced from the profit. And also in case there are any brought forward losses, even those losses must be reduced from the profit before declaring the dividend. And in case you are paying dividend from reserves and surplus balance, there are certain conditions that has to be satisfied. What are those conditions? First of all, you are utilizing reserves and surplus balance to pay the dividend. Now you have to take care that the first condition that has to be satisfied is that maximum amount of dividend, or you can say maximum percentage of dividend that can be offered is average rate of dividend that has been declared in the preceding 3 financial years. That is the maximum amount of maximum rate of dividend that can be offered in case you are paying dividend from reserves and surplus balance. Hope this is clear. If you are paying dividend from reserves and surplus balance, first condition that has to be satisfied is the maximum rate of dividend that can be declared by the company should be average rate of dividend that has been declared in the preceding 3 financial years. That is the first condition. Next condition, you are taking the amount from reserves and surplus balance. Now the maximum amount that can be withdrawn from the reserves and surplus balance is 1/10 of paid up share capital plus free reserves. That is the maximum amount of maximum amount that you can withdraw from reserves and surplus for purpose of paying the dividend. That is the second condition. And third condition is, after withdrawing the amount from the reserves and surplus balance, the remaining balance of reserves and surplus should not be less than 15% of paid up share capital. Hope this is clear. These three conditions must be satisfied if you are utilizing reserves and surplus balance for the purpose of paying the dividend. And also, let's say company has earned profit in the current financial year. Now before paying the dividend, if company wants, it can keep certain percentage or certain portion of this profit in the reserves balance, so that in the future if company makes losses from that reserves, the company can give the dividend. But however, it is not mandatory that if the company earns profit, it has to keep the amount in the reserves and surplus balance. It is not mandatory, it is optional. Okay, company can at its discretion keep certain amount of profit in the reserves and surplus balance, can transfer certain amount of profit to the reserves and surplus balance before paying the dividend. Hope this is clear. Next, and dividend once declared cannot be revoked. That means, see here the term used is declared, that means once shareholders declare the dividend in the general meeting, it cannot be revoked, it cannot be cancelled. But once board of directors recommended the dividend in the board meeting, it can be cancelled. Recommendation doesn't mean that it has been declared. The dividend that has been recommended by the board of directors can be revoked, but a dividend that has been declared by the shareholders in the general meeting cannot be revoked. Hope you understood this. Next, dividend shall be paid only in cash and not in kind. See here, the term only in cash means through bank. Here you should understand that it should be paid in the monetary form, not in the kind form. That is, you should not give any items. Let's say for example, Jio, the Reliance Industries, they wanted to pay the dividend. They have to pay it in cash, that is through bank, but they should not give recharge balance to the shareholders. Hope this is clear. What happened to this? Just a second. Okay. Next, once the dividend has been declared in the general meeting, that amount of dividend has to be transferred to a separate scheduled bank account within 5 days. And in case company fails to pay the declared dividend, then what is the punishment? See, company in the general meeting, it has declared the dividend. After declaring the dividend, company is failing to pay it to the or transfer it to the shareholders. In that case, what is the dividend? It is not that if company fails to declare the dividend, it is not mandated that company has to declare the dividend every year. It is at the option of board of directors whether to recommend dividend or not. It is up to the board of directors. But once the dividend has been declared, it must be paid. This punishment is related to that. You are not paying declared dividend, then what is the punishment? It is not talking about what if company doesn't declare the dividend. If company doesn't declare the dividend, there is no punishment, because it is not mandatory for the company to declare the dividend. Please remember this. So if company fails to pay the declared dividend, then directors, the punishment that will be imposed on the directors is imprisonment up to 2 years. And the punishment on the company is company has to pay interest on that amount of dividend at the rate of 18% per annum. This is the punishment. But however, there are exceptions. Now, there will be certain genuine situations in which company, even after declaring the dividend, because of that genuine situation, company is not able to pay that dividend to the shareholders. Now, in these genuine situations, the company should not be punished. Those will be covered under exception. So, what are the situations in which company will not be punished for not paying the declared dividend? First exception, company is not able to pay the dividend due to operation of law. Law doesn't permit paying the dividend to that particular person. Let's say court has passed an order not to pay dividend to that particular person. Now, company has to obey the law. Due to this, company is not paying the dividend. This will be covered under exception. Next, directions given by shareholders not complied. Company is not able to comply with the directions that have been given by the shareholder. Let's say shareholder has given a particular bank account, asking the company to pay the dividend into that bank account, but the bank account number is wrong, or the IFSC code given is wrong. Due to this, company is not able to remit or pay the dividend. This is a genuine situation wherein company will not be punished, because company is not able to comply with the conditions that has been given by the shareholder. Next, dispute regarding right to receive dividend. See, related to certain shares, some shareholders are disputing among themselves. They are quarreling among themselves that the right on the shares belongs to me. Like this, they are quarreling. Now, they themselves don't have any idea of who is the rightful owner of those shares. So, even in those kind of situations, the company can stop paying dividend on the particular shares relating to which there is a dispute of ownership. Once the dispute has been resolved, they can come to the company and they can claim the dividend. Even this is an exception in which company will not be punished. Next, lawfully adjusted by the company. Let's say the shareholder has to give company certain amount. Let's say that particular shareholder has taken some loan from the company of 1 lakh rupees. Now company has to pay dividend of certain 50,000 rupees. Now what the company can do is, company can set off this 50,000 rupees in the amount that has been that has to be received from that particular shareholder. This is lawfully setting of the amount of dividend. These are the situations in which company will not be punished even if it has not paid the declared dividend. Next, now there will be certain situations in which company is not able to trace the shareholder. We will be calling it as unpaid or unclaimed dividend. Company is not able to pay the dividend to that particular shareholder because it is not able to identify the address of that particular shareholder. In that case, what the company has to do is, company has to keep that amount with itself for a period of 7 years, and even after completion of this 7 years also, the company is not able to identify the shareholder. In that case, it has to transfer this amount to IEPF, Investor Education and Protection Fund. To that particular fund, this amount has to be transferred. Now, after completion of 7 years, within 90 days, it has to be transferred. Okay. First of all, on the date of declaration of the dividend, it is not able to identify the shareholder, and 7 years completed from the date of declaration. In this 7 years also, no one has come to the company asking the dividend. Now, from completion of 7 years, within this 90 days, okay, from completion of 7 years, 90 days time has been given to the company to deposit that amount in the IEPF. Hope this is clear. And this fund will be utilized by the government for the welfare of the investors. And in case once the amount has been transferred to the Investor Education and Protection Fund, if that particular shareholder, who is actually the owner of the shares, comes to know that the company has declared the dividend and that the dividend has been transferred to IEPF account, then he can ask IEPF, he can make a request to the fund, IEPF fund, asking the dividend. Once he requests, the amount will be given to that particular shareholder from the IEPF fund. Hope this is clear. Now, what are the amounts that will be transferred to this IEPF fund? First one is unpaid dividend. This we discussed. Next, matured deposits. Now, for deposits, there will be certain tenure, like 4 years, 5 years. Generally, it should not exceed 3 years, that we have discussed. Now, after completion of the tenure, the deposits will mature. Once deposits mature, the amount will be repaid to the deposit holder. Now, what if company is not able to trace that deposit holder? In that case also, after completion of 7 years, that amount, that matured deposit amount which is remained unclaimed, must be transferred to IEPF fund. In the same way, application money due for refund, even this amount, if unclaimed for 7 years, transfer to IEPF. Matured debentures, same. Grants by central government, state government. All this, if they are unclaimed, you have to transfer it to IEPF fund. Next, dividend distribution policy. Generally, this dividend distribution policy is mandatory for the top 500 listed entities, and for the remaining entities, it is optional. Now, this top 500 listed entities, they have to prepare this dividend policy and they have to publish it on their website as well as annual return. What will be present in this dividend distribution policy? This dividend distribution policy says the financial parameters that will be considered by the company at the time of declaration of the dividend, based on which financial parameters company will declare the dividend. This will be mentioned in the dividend declaration policy. And internal and external factors. What are the internal and external factors that will be considered by the company at the time of declaration of the dividend? Even that will be mentioned. And policy of utilization of retained earnings. That means in which situations the dividend will be declared from the reserves and surplus balance. Even that will be mentioned in the dividend distribution policy. And circumstances in which no dividend will be declared. What will be the situations in which company will not declare any dividend to the shareholders? Even those situations will be listed in this dividend distribution policy. Hope this is clear. And you should remember that all these provisions which we have discussed for final dividend will be applicable mutatis mutandis even for interim dividend also. Okay. By this, the revision of dividends chapter is completed. We'll meet with the revision of next chapter in the next class. Okay. And if you want to purchase regular classes, you can visit our website lecturepedia.in and we can place your order. Okay. Take care. Bye bye. See you.